This mushroom has a threatening aura. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Game of Crafting podcast. I don't know what episode this is because I haven't done this in about a month. I will be honest with you, it has been a challenge to keep up with things. I feel like priorities are kind of shifting around, both in the light of, of COVID-19 and just everything else that's kind of going on. So this kind of fell by the wayside a little bit, and I'm sorry about that. I'm also kind of unsure as to really what this is anymore. It seems to kind of be just me rambling for 30 minutes or 40 minutes without a lot to show you other than, some yarn here and then, here and there, here and then, now and then, mixing my metaphors. And I don't know, I've had some people say they don't really want to see the other things, the other crafts, the other creative stuff that I work on, like they're just not interested in that, which is fine. It's fine. But yeah, so anyway, I thought I would show you some of my gardening stuff because progress has been made in the last 3 weeks or a month or however long it's been. And as you saw there in the little intro, I grew this mushroom. This is the stems of some other mushrooms I grew. I grew this mushroom. I probably should have picked it, but it grew so fast, and then it ended up being this weird thing, like I wanted to see how big it got. If we just kept letting it grow instead of plucking it at a sensible time and allowing the other mushrooms in here to grow. I don't know if any more are gonna grow now. Anyway, we had 2 other ones, but it looks like it's ready to eat some people. I just got back a few minutes ago from taking our weekly bunch of orders to, our pack and ship sadly closed, which is one of the reasons that I haven't been podcasting, because that's taken up a lot of time to figure out the best option, and we had to buy a new label printer, and it was expensive, and then it didn't work, and all of the things associated with that, and just getting used to this new system has taken a lot of extra time and energy. And honestly, I hate printers. They're the spawn of Satan, I'm convinced. They're evil demons, and they just exist to frustrate. So yeah, I'd sort of thought today that it might be nice to get a takeaway coffee, because that's one of those weird things. It's not something that I indulged in a lot even before lockdown, but occasionally, and I have to get up really early to get to the depot on time because it's only open from like 7 till 8 in the morning, 3 days a week. So I have to make sure that I get there really early, otherwise I end up standing in a line for 20 minutes just to drop off packages, and it sucks. So I get up really early to avoid that, and I find that it's easier to bribe myself to get up early if I can, say, oh, well, I'll get a nice coffee, or I'll pick up something for breakfast or whatever. But it was kind of rammed in town today. The market day never really stopped, but now it's back to kind of full strength, and there's not really any social distancing because I guess people are just bored of it. I don't know. I have a lot of really complex feelings about COVID-19 and everything that's going on, and I guess I won't go into it too much because everyone's got to do what they feel is right for them. Just try and be considerate, wear masks if you're at the store or whatever. I don't know, it's become this weirdly politicized thing, and I don't understand why, because it doesn't care what political party you're affiliated with. Like, it's a virus. I don't know. I find the entire thing intensely frustrating. So I'm not going to talk about it very much. Anyway, my point is that it was really busy, and there was like probably 3 times as many people standing in line at the local coffee shop than I think I've ever seen in line at that coffee shop. And I know that it's partially because they only allow like 1 or 2 people inside it at a time. So that definitely contributes to the line issue. But I was like, do I want to stand in line for 20 minutes for a, let's be honest, kind of mediocre coffee from an international chain? No, I don't want to stand in line for 20 minutes wearing a mask when it's super humid for that. I don't want that. So what I did is I went to the grocery store and dropped off packages, and I got one of these I think the last time that I had one of these was probably one of the times that I was driving from East Texas up to Chicago to see family when I was still living in Texas. So it's been a long time since I've had one of these. And when I had one of these, they were still in those glass bottles. Maybe they're still in those glass bottles other places. Maybe this is different. I don't know. So I got this, and I got myself a pack of muffins. So I'm gonna have the coffee shop experience here at home where I don't have to wear a mask and potentially endanger somebody else, or just make, I don't know, whatever. My point is I didn't want to wait in line for that long for a chain coffee and a muffin that's usually kind of dry. Also, right, this is going to be a massive side note, huge sidetrack here. What is the deal with mostly chains injecting things into their muffins? Like, you can't just get like a blueberry muffin or a lemon poppy seed muffin. They have things injected into them, like blueberry compote or blueberry jam or like lemon curd. No, man, I want the muffin. I don't want like a surprise inside. It's not my jam, and it just seems like it's everywhere. That's a total sidetrack rant, I realize. Listen, muffins, they're serious business. So anyway, so when I'm finished recording, I'm gonna have that. I'm gonna have my coffee to go and a muffin that I bought from Asda. I do want to show you, before I show you some of my gardening stuff, I do want to show you some stuff that I got a little bit of a, it's not really like a stash haul because it's only a couple of things and it's not yarn. So I bought some mini looms from a company called Wool Couture. I'll put a link down in the description. I follow Yelly Knits on Instagram, and I've been seeing all of her really cool, she's been doing a lot of like looming, or maybe not like super recently, this was maybe like a month ago. I have spent almost zero time on Instagram for the last 3 weeks, almost a month. Which you can probably tell from my Instagram feed. There's like 3 posts from the last month and not very many stories, and I totally forgot to post about clubs until yesterday, and clubs close on Monday, so that's about where I'm at with social media at the moment. Facebook is just a mess. I mean, that usually happens, right? But I think the thing that's frustrating is when you think that you've kind of curated the negative, nasty people out of your life, and you think that everyone is left as like a reasonable person, and then somebody posts something and you're just like I can't just let that slide. I can't just not say anything because I'm me and I have a big mouth, so I can't just not say anything. It's like it's antithetical to everything that I am as a person. So Facebook has been a mess. I find it a bad place to be, but I also find it difficult to pull myself away from the doom scrolling, where you just keep taking in all of this bad stuff and negativity and people being really shitty to each other for whatever reason. And like, especially in the local groups, people will get like really riled up over not much. You know, somebody will say, does anyone know when such and such business is reopening? And then there'll be comments being like, why don't you just Google it, stupid? And you're like, first of all, because of COVID-19, Google's hours for businesses hasn't been very accurate for the last couple of months. So, like, what's wrong with somebody asking a question? It's just, ugh. And yesterday I tweeted about not liking to be on Facebook, and then I got a lot of advice about how to not be on Facebook, which is very helpful when you have an online business, because it's like kind of necessary. You kind of have to be there, and I can only hope that something else will come and take Facebook's place. So anyway, I haven't really been spending a lot of time on Instagram, so that was another diversion. Apologies. But I got these little looms. I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet. I think I need to watch some tutorial videos and kind of get an idea of what I can do and what I want to do. I don't know what I'm going to do with them when I'm finished. Probably send them to friends or save them for Christmas ornaments. I don't know. So I got a square one, and I got a circle one that looks kind of like a little flower. To give you an idea of scale, they would make some pretty snazzy glasses. I'm sorry. And then I also got these. It's a pack of 2, 3, 4, hexagonal. I had to count the sides because I'm tired. hexagonal looms, like a nesting set. I don't think you wouldn't necessarily use them as a nesting set, but yeah, there's like, oh, there's a bee inside. That's right. I forgot that it was bee themed. It's I should have opened this before I started talking to you, but I didn't. So here, you can just watch me open it now. Yes, I forgot that. Yeah, there's a little bee, and so it's meant to be like a sort of like a little honeycomb thing, which I thought was really cute. Again, I have no idea what I'm going to do with these. Oh, it looks like they've included a little book here. If it's a how-to book, I'm golden. How to weave came with my little hexagonal bee set. So, oh, and it says visit our website for tutorials. I think that I will. Thank you very much. So I'm going to have some fun with that. My fiber mojo in general has been kind of crap lately. I haven't done very much knitting. I don't know, every time I pick it up I just feel a bit I have a sock on the go. I've been knitting on my Half Moon tee, which is pretty, and I do want to finish it. It's not that I feel like I don't ever want to finish it, I just don't feel like working on very much lately. And I know that, you know, quarantine, lockdown, everything has affected people differently, and I don't know, I feel like it's forced my priorities to kind of shift around a little bit. That plus, you know, we've been busy and there's other things going on kind of in the background, so it's kind of just forced me to think a bit more about how I want to be spending my time. And over the past month, my time has not been spent on Instagram, and I haven't been doing a lot of knitting, although, caveat, I don't think you can see it, but I am wearing a Last of Us 2 themed shirt, because The Last of Us 2 comes out today, and we should be getting our copy any minute. And that is a game that, the first one I watched Sarah play the whole way through, and did a lot of knitting while I was watching her play that, so I reckon that I will probably do a lot of knitting while watching her play that game, because I do like to do something that I can still pay a lot of attention to the story and what's going on. I did play a bit of the first Last of Us. But it stressed Sarah out because I wasn't using the sneak. I wasn't using the sneak ability. I was just kind of like yeeting around and attacking things, and she was like, "You can't do this." She's like, the game gets harder. You can't. So anyway, I'm gonna watch her play it, and we're gonna really get into the story of it. It's one of our favorite games, kind of collectively, and that's really exciting. So I will probably do a fair bit of knitting this weekend as we play through that. It's gonna be really exciting. I do have some yarn in the pots, but they are blanket clubs, so I can't show you. And the other thing that's in the pots is the space clubs, which I also can't show you. And there are a few new things that are going to be coming to the website. I have taken some time away from other projects next week to hopefully work on the website. I want to make categories easier to shop. I want to sort of mess with the headers and mess with the search utilities to make things easier to find, because it's needed to get done for a while. We've had the website for 2 years, almost 2 years. We're like a couple of weeks away from 2 years, and not a lot of work has been done on updating it in those 2 years. So it's time for, you know, a bit of a refresh with regards to updating and making things a bit better, easier, especially as we consider moving away from Etsy for like the millionth time. Just can't really land on a decision there. And so anyway, that's enough rambling. I'm going to show you the progress that I have made with some of my plants and tell you what I've learned about container gardening, because I've done it before, but it's always something new that you're learning. So let's have a look, shall we? So I'm going to start off with my peas here. As you can see, they're just about ready to start harvesting, which I will probably do today or tomorrow to try and convince it to pump out a few more peas. You can still see there's still some orange dye on my hands. I had a bit of an accident with a big pot of orange dye the other day. Well, I didn't spill the whole pot. I just spilled like a few grams of it. It doesn't matter. It still made a huge mess. And I did some Googling around to find out what this business was all about down here, because that's happened to me before. And I couldn't figure out what it is because they are getting watered on a regular basis. And I did some research, and it kind of sounds like it's either a fungus, but there's no evidence of a fungus. But the other thing is that it's possible that they are getting too hot, that the roots are getting too hot. Given that the box that they are in is this metal, and this balcony gets extreme full sun in the afternoon, I'm gonna guess that it is getting way too hot up here for these peas. So I don't know if I will do peas again next year. I mean, they're still producing, right? But I don't think they're gonna produce very much. I mean, that's kind of the problem when people grow peas anyway, isn't it? Is that they're quite a not space hungry plant. Like, they're quite dense for what you get from them. So I'm not sure that I'll do peas again next year, given that they don't really like being out here. Although if we don't live here next year, then maybe I will. Ooh, that's a nice big fat pea pod. So I've got my courgettes here, which have these big, super long tendrils that are going everywhere. I've tried to convince them to like wrap around the whatever you would call this, banister, whatever this is, and they just seem to want to just do their own thing. So I'm just letting them kind of get on with it. As you can see, it does, like, some of these leaves are a little burnt because of that super hot sun that hits in the afternoon. And before anyone comments and says don't water them in the morning because that will like burn the leaves, I don't. I always water them in the evening as we are getting ready to kind of, close up the door and just chill out for the rest of the evening. So those are my courgettes. It looks like I've got a couple of buds here. So those are doing well. So these are my pumpkins. They were looking a little yellow yesterday, and so I did some research. I was like, how much water do pumpkins need? And spoiler alert, they need a lot. They need a lot of water. So I've got some buds here, so hopefully it won't be too long before we start seeing some pumpkins growing. But again, these won't be ready until like probably October time. So these are the polar pumpkins. So they're supposed to be huge white pumpkins. I don't know how huge they're gonna get growing into this flower box. I have a feeling I might get stunted white pumpkins, but we'll have to see. I don't know what that is. It's a weird bug. Hi, weird bug. Oh, you're like a mosquito or something. Anyway, so those are my pumpkins, which I have now learned I need to water more than I was watering them every day, but probably not enough. So here I've got my Scotch bonnet chili peppers, which are already growing little chilies, as you can see. I decided to grow chilies, two different kinds, 4 plants this year, because we did some just standard chilies a couple of years ago, and they dried so freaking well. It was so easy to dry them and store them and then use them throughout the year, that I just thought it was a really good sort of crop to have. And plus they seem pretty all right in these little pots, so that's good. Here's my pink blueberry plant, which isn't doing anything blueberry-like. I think that this is a first-year plant, so I probably won't do anything blueberry-like until next year if I can manage to make it survive that long. There's the phone stand I was using a minute ago. So here are my cherry tomato plants. They have gotten very big from the last time that I showed them to you. The last time I showed them to you, they were kind of just a little bit taller than the stake that they're tied to keep them upright, and now they're like twice that. So these are very big. As you can see, there's some flowers over here, so hopefully it won't be long until we start seeing some tomatoes. There's some more little buds right there. I have been having to keep a very close eye on all of the leaves up here because leaf miner bugs, which they get in between like the layers of the leaf, and they like eat all the way through it, and they lay their eggs, and then the little eggies hatch into larvae which eat everything. And if you're not careful, they'll just run through all of the leaves, so you have to be really careful to continue watching for that. Also, there was one time, I think it was last year, I found an absolutely massive caterpillar out here. It was like as big around as my thumb. It was an absolutely huge chunky boy, like to the point where I felt a little bit threatened. And I did relocate that because I was like, I've read the book The Very Hungry Caterpillar. We are not having that today, sir. So that caterpillar ended up probably on some foliage out there. So these are the jalapeno peppers plants. So as you can see, we've got some little peppers growing here too. These are supposed to be cucumbers. They haven't done very much yet, so I'm not convinced that they're gonna really take, so we'll have to see. Here's my garlic. It's almost ready to be harvested, which you can tell because some of it is getting a little bit brown and it's laying down, which is usually the sign that it's almost ready to be harvested. I did have a look the other day. It does need another week or couple of weeks, I think. Here's my tomatoes. I actually ran out of dirt because I underestimated how big these dirt containers were. I actually ran out of dirt, so I have ordered some more dirt bricks because we still don't have a car and I can't like just carry home a load of dirt. So I've ordered some more dirt bricks for my potatoes, but they seem pretty happy. They seem pretty all right in these containers, which I'm really excited about. As you can see, I've added a second one of these little pocket planter things to utilize this space against the door. This is a door. So I've got my huge mint plant. This is a different variety of tomatoes that are growing up here that harvest a little bit later in the season. Up here we've got, I don't remember what that is, I'm pretty sure, oh I think it's basil. We've got some basil up here. This stuff hasn't sprouted yet. Neither has that. As you can see, it does look a little bit dry, so I do need to come out here and water this evening. And here we've got, there's gonna be beans in here, and as you can see, they're looking almost ready to start popping through the surface there. In here we have some spinach, which hasn't yet sprouted, and down here we have just assorted lettuce. You know, just one of those packets where it's like assorted lettuce, many lettuce types. So I thought I will just continue planting that and harvesting it through the summer. And over here I have some more peas, and these are probably a little bit closer to being, actually maybe they're about the same to be harvested. So these need like another day or so, a couple more days maybe for most of them. And so then when the pea plants are done producing, which won't be too much longer, what I'm going to do is I have strawberry plants on order from a local nursery. I have never had luck getting strawberries to germinate from seed. I've followed all of the guidelines about freezing them and wet paper towels and all this other thing. I've never been able to make it happen. I've just never been able to make it happen. So I've ordered some strawberry plants from a local nursery, and they're called Colossus strawberries. They're supposed to be like the size of your hand. So we'll see about that. The biggest struggle I think with that is going to be keeping pigeons that live in that tree there the hell away from my strawberries. I see them out here in the mornings sometimes, like sort of pecking at some of the greenery, and I have to be like, get out of here, pigeon! And I feel bad because pigeons don't have a very healthy diet. I read a really interesting article actually about pigeon diets. This is the kind of thing that I read nowadays to try and not just like doom scroll. I read articles about what pigeons should be eating versus what they do eat. So I feel bad for the pigeons' plight, but I'm also like, I did not spend all this time out here growing food for pigeons. I'm spending time out here growing food for people. So, and I'm gonna see, how much, harvest we get, but I'm hopeful that we'll get enough, like tomatoes and maybe some of the potatoes and chilies and stuff that maybe we can share it out with some of the other people in our building if they want some fresh produce or what have you. So, because you know what? There's nothing more punk than gardening as a community effort. There's no better way to say the system than growing plants to help support your community. And I know that sounds like I'm being trite and silly, but it's something that I genuinely believe. What's more anti-establishment than being like, I'm gonna grow my own damn food? That's a whole thing. It's like I said though, it is something that I do truly believe. Nothing more anti-establishment than building community resources like plants. Like I would love to live in the kind of place where there was like a big community like allotment. There's not really any around here, trust me. I have looked. certainly not any within walking distance. I would love to live in an area that had a huge community allotment where everybody pitched in and there was no drama, but I'm not sure that those exist, especially right now. Although saying, you know, there's a lot of mint here. Like, I'm thirsty, but I don't drink that many mojitos, so maybe I should see if anyone in the building wants some fresh mint for any of their culinary or bartending needs. So, yeah, so I'm really pleased with the progress that has been made out here. I'm really excited to harvest the garlic because I read a really interesting article / recipe / hacks maybe about how to smoke garlic, which I don't know if you've ever tried using smoked garlic in your recipes, but oh man, it is so good. So I'm really hoping that like one pot I will save just to be like, I don't know, normal garlic. And I'm hopeful that the other pot can be smoked garlic, which that smoked garlic will then keep a long time. So I've got my potato plants. Those will be ready in a few months. These will be ready in probably a couple of weeks, if I had to guess. It's difficult. Like, I keep kind of like poking at the dirt because I don't want to leave them in there too long because the garlic will start to rot in the ground. So I'm probably done watering these now. I'm going to let it dry out and then I will dig them up. And yeah, this is all, yeah, also, like, this is my super narrow balcony, which is, like, wide enough for one chair. And if you see that chair sitting on the ground over there, that is the floor chair that I ordered. I sit in that chair when I write. I bring my laptop out here and I do some writing, or sometimes I'll do some work out here. But it is super comfortable. I'm definitely glad that I spent the money on it. It was a bit more expensive than some of the other models, but it's great. I really love sitting out here because this chair and that table, like, they're fine, but it's not very fine if you're sitting there for any amount of time. It's fine for like sitting there and eating a muffin and drinking a coffee, but it's not great if you're doing anything else. So I am still waiting for those strawberry plants, which will replace the pea plants, because by the time the strawberry plants show up, the pea plants are going to be done producing, and so then you can just kind of get rid of them, and I will replace those with some giant strawberry plants, and I really hope that I will be able to show you giant strawberries because that would be rad. I'm also really hoping that we're going to get some good courgettes. Unfortunately, there's not really a lot I can do about the fact that this gets very full sun in the afternoons when it's sunny. There's not really a lot I can do, so as I can't, like, you know, add screens or anything onto the balcony, so I'll just have to deal with that. Anyway, I'm gonna close it off there because I don't really have anything else to say. I've showed you my plants. I've chatted to you about why I haven't been around and why I haven't been working on the podcast and whatever. I legit, out of the corner of my eye, thought that was a worm or a caterpillar. I see now that it's just like a little flower bud, but corner of my eye, legit thought that was a little buggy. So anyway, I'm gonna close it off there. I may be back next week. Maybe 2 weeks. We're gonna have to see how priorities continue to shift with regards to making things happen and keeping myself mentally healthy, which I'm not necessarily saying the podcast makes me mentally unhealthy, but it's more the time involved. So I'm gonna go eat my muffin. I'm gonna play some Animal Crossing. I'm gonna sit in my chair there and do some writing, and then I'm gonna go and edit this video. So thank you all for watching. Please do like and subscribe. Drop a comment down below, I guess, if there's something specific that you'd like to see more of. I know that most of you will probably say that you'd like to see more dyeing videos, so maybe I'll do some more of those. Thank you so much for watching. This has been fun. I will see you soon.